I went back to the UK after 3 years of enjoying China's magnificent world-leading infrastructure, and what I saw was depressing. Today, I want to share with you an eye-opening experience I had when I returned to the UK. The difference in infrastructure between the two countries was astounding, and I was genuinely surprised by how run down and outdated some of the UK's infrastructure has become. And what's more, that local people were just accepting it has become like this. That this is the new normal. In this video, I will explore some key areas where the UK is falling behind compared to China, despite the constant criticism from Western media about China's development. Let's start with the cost of trains. One of the first things that shocked me was the exorbitant price of a train ticket from my home in Oxford to London. Now, the distance between the two famous British cities is a little under 60 miles. A 60-mile journey in China is Shanghai to Suzhou. Now, a ticket on a luxurious high-speed train for this journey would cost around 31 yuan, which is approximately $4. What's more, this train will get you there in 28 minutes. And it's not one of those situations like in the UK where you're waiting around the station for a train that's been delayed, or you're in some cities like in the north where up to 15% of trains are cancelled. No, this is China, where trains have a 99% punctuality rate. If it says it's leaving at 1 o'clock, it is leaving at 1 o'clock. Now, back to this journey in the UK. It cost me £50 and it took over an hour. Now, people always say, yes, but the trains are owned by the government in China and they are run at a loss. They don't make any money. Well, to those people I say this. Why don't the trains in the UK be put under public ownership? Why isn't that just the normal model? If we're going to lose tax money on something, because of course we are losing tax money on a lot of things, why not lose it and have good infrastructure at the same time? China's high-speed rail might make a loss right now. It might not be profitable each year, but is it worth having anyway? How long is the lifespan and the depreciation rate? Will it not yield a return on investment over the course of 50 years? How about the positive externality? Now, a positive externality occurs when a service or infrastructure project like high-speed rail generates benefits that extend beyond the immediate users and positively impact the broader economy. In this case, China's high-speed rail may not be directly profitable from ticket sales alone, but it stimulates economic activity by making it easier for people to conduct business, making it easier for people to travel and engage in commerce, thereby boosting the overall economy. In China, high-speed trains cover vast distances at a fraction of the cost. For example, a high-speed train ticket from Beijing to Shanghai, a journey of around 1,300 kilometers, costs about $60. Now, this affordability makes train travel accessible to a wider population and encourages domestic tourism and travel. One of the most glaring differences between the UK and China is, of course, the lack of high-speed rail coverage in the UK. While the UK has been debating and planning the High Speed 2 project for years, flushing literally billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars down the drain on consulting and planning and more consulting and consulting the planning, China has already built an extensive high-speed rail network that connects even the most remote regions to major cities. Imagine somewhere like Tibet, literally high in the mountains, very remote, yet they still have high-speed rail. This lack of high-speed rail in the UK means that domestic travel is often slower and less convenient, pushing people to opt for cars or short flights instead. This not only increases travel costs, but also has a negative impact on the environment. Next, let's talk about the London Underground. Now, during my recent trip, the Underground broke down while I was on it. The only time I've used it in 3 years, it broke down. I thought it was a one-off occurrence, but it seems to me, after talking to friends who live in London, that this kind of disruption is all too common, and it really affects the daily commute for millions of people. China, on the other hand, has subway systems stretching right around the country in Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. In fact, China has metro systems in 55 different cities. Now, I have travelled on tens and tens of them. Not once has it ever broken down whilst I have been on it. What's more, never has a ticket cost me more than a few cents. These systems are modern, efficient, and rarely face significant delays. The trains are clean, spacious, and equipped with the latest technology, making commuting a really pleasant experience. They are safe. There are no people blaring obnoxiously loud music or smelling or carrying knives or smoking drugs. There are certainly no rats on board like in New York. You can even pay with your face, your QR code, or in some cases, the palm of your hand. No need to mess around with little bits of paper or coins. In the UK, a daily ticket can cost up to $15, which is a significant amount, especially for regular commuters just to use a subway. And what are you getting for your money in addition to the short trip? At best, they may spend a few quid per year on removing some of the graffiti. At worst, you may come away with being attacked. In contrast, subway systems in China are incredibly affordable. A single ride in Beijing or Shanghai costs just a few yuan. This affordability ensures that public transport is accessible to everyone, reducing the need for cars and easing traffic congestion. Now, it's often cheaper to fly to Europe than it is to get a train for an hour within the UK. This has had an unbelievable effect on UK domestic tourism, with people now preferring to go on holiday to Europe rather than have a staycation in the UK. As a result, seaside resorts and coastal cities in the UK are some of the most depressing places in the world, and that is not an overstatement. Some seaside cities in the UK used to be booming areas of economic activity. They're now completely run down, losing income and impoverished. The people there simply have no money. Of course, it's not the public's fault. You can now have a week holiday in a nice part of Spain for less than $300, and the same amount of money wouldn't even get two people from Oxford to Manchester on the train. Now, what makes all of this even more surprising is the continuous narrative in Western media that China is behind, or people in the West simply not believing that all of this is true, and that it must in some way be propaganda, that China has nice trains and good infrastructure. Having travelled extensively in China, I've seen firsthand the impressive infrastructure even in the smaller cities. Now, mega infrastructure projects are a common sight wherever you go. I was on a maglev train the other day in a city of 350,000 people. I was on top of one of the world's highest bridges, an absolute masterpiece, yet built in a city of 280,000 people. Near enough every place you go to has a futuristic airport. Even in smaller cities, you've got 5G on your phone. From modern airports to expansive high-speed rail networks, from 5G connectivity to efficient subway systems, China's commitment to infrastructure development is evident literally everywhere. It is quite ironic that while the West often criticizes China, it is China that is setting new standards in infrastructure development. The contrast between the UK's aging infrastructure and China's modern facilities was stark. This disparity raises important questions about where priorities lie and how investments are being made in public services and infrastructure. In conclusion, my recent trip to the UK was a stark reminder of how far behind the country has fallen in terms of infrastructure. From the high costs of travel to the lack of modern facilities, there are many areas where the UK could learn from China. As we move forward, it is crucial for the UK to invest in and upgrade its infrastructure to meet the needs of its population and stay competitive on the global stage. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about the infrastructure differences between the UK, your country, and China? For more travel, business, infrastructure, and geopolitics from inside China, make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.